Morning students, and welcome back. So student, today again we are going to start with the chapter number 5, that is substances in the surroundings, their states and properties. Student, this is the second module of this chapter, that is the second part. If you had missed first part of this chapter, the link is already mentioned into the description box. You can go there and check from there. So student, let's begin. Students, let's have a look that we had already completed in the first module of this chapter. So student, let's recall. When a substance changes from one state to another, the process is called change of state of the substance. Every substance is found in our surroundings is in either the solid, liquid or gaseous state. If we heat or cool these substances, the state changes. In the 19th century, the scientist Willard Gibbs showed that the characteristic properties of a substance depend on its physical state and the arrangement of particles in it. Change in the physical state of a substance is an effect of the amount of heat in it. Thermometer is used to measure the temperature of the substance. The unit of temperature is degree Celsius. The temperature at which water gets converted into steam is known as the boiling point of water or ebullition. When water vapor cools, they again get converted into water. This process is known as condensation. The temperature at which water gets converted into ice is known as the freezing point of water. The temperature at which ice gets converted into water is known as the melting point of ice. Students, now have a look on the learning objectives of this module. So student, in this module, we are going to learn about properties of substances, that is brittleness, hardness, elasticity, fluidity, density, solubility, transparency, and next is metals. Properties of metals, that is malleability, ductility, electrical conductivity, thermal conductivity, sonority, color and luster. So students, let's begin with this module. Can you tell student, observe the various substances and how will you identify them? Okay, in the given textbook on page number 36, you can see the following objects. Picture of objects is given, that is 5.7. First one is a glass. So whether it is made up of plastic, steel or a glass. So student, the glass shown is transparent. As you can see, it is a transparent glass. Okay, yes, so therefore the given glass is made from glass or plastic and not from steel. If the given glass breaks easily into small pieces when pressure is applied on it, then it is made from glass and not from plastic. So first what we see that whether the glass is transparent or not. If it is transparent, then it will be made from glass or it will be made from plastic. Now next is to see whether it breaks in a small pieces or not. If it breaks easily on a small pieces, then it is made from glass, not from plastic. The next is a rod. Is iron or aluminium? So student, the rod shown is made from iron. This is because the color is black or dark grey, whereas that of aluminium is bright grey or silvery. You have seen easily in your kitchen, okay, aluminium utensils, which is basically silvery or bright grey in color. a door? It is made up of wooden or glass. So student, the door shown is not transparent. Hence, it is made from wood and not from glass. Next is a white powder. Is it a salt or a chalk powder? So student, the white powder shown is chalk powder. To identify whether the powder is of salt or chalk, perform a small experiment. So let's see. So student, here we did a small experiment. A glass with the salt water and a glass with the chalk powder. So if the powder dissolve in water, then it is salt. Here as you can see, the salt completely dissolve in the water. Okay. If does not dissolve in water, then it is a chalk powder. So as you can see, it is not dissolving. So it's a chalk powder. So student, to answer the above questions, you considered their properties. Okay, for example, their transparency है ना, ग्लास को देखने के लिए we consider whether it is a transparent or not. Hardness देखें, weight, color, the sound produced from it, solubility in water, etc. Substances can be identified by studying their properties. Okay? अगर सब्सटेंस के बारे में जानना है तो हम उसके क्या पढ़ते हैं, प्रॉपर्टीज पे ध्यान देते हैं. देन ओनली वी कैन consider which substance it is. They can be put to use according to their property. So let's study the properties of substances in greater detail. So let's begin with the properties of these substances. So first property we had is called brittleness. So student, what will happen if pressure is applied on substance like chalk, brick, alum, glass or Rajgira Wadi? Student, you already had applied pressure on a chalk. You already played with the chalk during your class time. Okay, so what did you notice? What did you find that? You find that these substances break into small pieces or particles. Have you seen that if you applied the pressure on the chalk, then it is going to break in a smaller particle. So such substances are said to be brittle. This property of substance is called brittleness. अंडरस्टूड. ब्रिटल किसको बोला जाता है, मतलब उसको ईजिली प्रेशर अप्लाई करने के बाद में जब वो स्मॉल पीसेज में टूट जाएगा. ओके, जैसे कि चॉक, यू हैड प्लेड विद द चॉक, व्हेन यू ब्रेक दैट तो इट विल ब्रेक इनटू अ स्मॉल पीस. ठीक है, फर्दर अगर उसको किया तो इट विल बी पाउडर्ड, ईजिली पाउडर हो जाएगा. तो दैट इज कॉल्ड ब्रिटलनेस. Understood what is brittleness? So certain substances break into small pieces on applying pressure. Such substances are said to be brittle. Property of substance is called brittleness. Example: chalk, brick, alum, glass, etc. Students, our next property is hardness. So consider an example students. Take an iron nail, मतलब खीला. Try to pierce a cardboard sheet, wet mud and a piece of wood using the nail. What happens students? The nail easily pierces wet mud but not the piece of wood. It can pierce the cardboard sheet with some effort. Why does this happen students? So the hardness of a substance is determined by how much resistance it offers to the substance being pushed through it. So student, resistance means the ability not to be affected by something. Example, you can see coin, rock, etc. So this is hard. These substances are hard. Next property is elasticity. Student, take an example. Stretch a rubber band and let it go, or apply pressure on a piece of sponge and release it. What did you see, students? The rubber band and the sponge go back to their original shape. As you can see here, while stretching rubber band, it changes its shape. But as soon as you release it, it will come back to its original shape. Okay, can you see this? So some substances change their shape when a force is applied on them, but return to their original shape and size when the force is removed. This property is called elasticity. Example is rubber, sponge, etc. Next is fluidity. Take a flat metal sheet of the size of a notebook. Holding it an angle, put a drop of water, honey and gum at different places on the board. Observe how they flow down the slope. They flow, student, yes or no? Yes. So, liquid flow downward on a sloping surface. This property is called fluidity. They didn't flow from down to up, but they flow from up to down. Okay, sloping surface. So, this property is called fluidity. The fluidity of any liquid is determined by how easily it flows. Example of a substance which shows fluidity is water, oil, honey, etc. Next property is density. If two blocks of the same size, one wooden and the other of iron, are weighed in a balance, how would they compare? As you can see here, if you are going to weigh that, how you will going to compare that? So the mass of different substances having the same volume can be different. This difference is because of the difference in their densities. Between substances of the same volume, the ones with greater density are heavier than those of the lesser density. As you can see, wood will be up, wooden block is up and iron block is down. During balancing, this shows that iron block will be having more density as compared to wooden block. One more example, student, of water. If you throw a stone ball into the water, it will sink into the water. Why? Because its density is higher. Okay, that stone density will be higher than that of the water, and you will throw a paper ball in the water, then it will float on the water. Why? Because paper ball density is lesser than the water ka density. We have formula also for the density, that is density equals to mass upon volume. Next is solubility. Now let's have look to an example. Take a glass of water, students, add some salt, fine sand and sugar to it. So I am using salt and sugar solution. Repeat this, replacing water with kerosene. What do you observe? Some solid substances dissolve in a particular liquid. If a solid does not dissolve in a liquid, it is said to be insoluble in that liquid. Example, salt is soluble in water but insoluble in kerosene. You know of many beverages made by using water and soluble substances. The property of substance of getting dissolved is called its solubility. So as you can see in the example, salt dissolve in the water, so it is called soluble, that is solubility. Sugar also dissolve in water, so it is called solubility. And if in place of a water I will be using kerosene, ठीक है, वाटर की जगह पे अगर मैंने केरोसिन लिया और सॉल्ट को केरोसिन में डिज़ोल्व करने का ट्राई किया तो इट इज़ नॉट गोइंग टू डिज़ोल्व. दैट मीन्स वो सॉल्युबिलिटी का प्रॉपर्टी नहीं शो कर रहा है. ओके, इट इज़ नॉट शोइंग दी प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ सॉल्युबिलिटी. Okay, next, transparency. Student, when we can look through a substance and see things on the other side, then that substance is said to be transparent. This property of substance is called transparency. Glass, some types of plastic, clean water and air are transparent substances. Students, on page number 38, there's one question. Can you identify the objects shown in the figure 5.14? From which substances are they made? What are these substances called as a group? So student, this is a gold bar and this is a iron bars. Gold bars are made from gold and iron bars are made from iron. These substances are called metals. Students, substances like copper, gold, iron, aluminium are called metals. Metals are found in the form of minerals deep inside the earth. Minerals from the earth crust are processed to obtain the metal. In daily life, metals have various important uses. Let us study some common properties of metals. So student, first property of metal is malleability. Student, consider an example. Take a piece of copper or aluminium wire or a small nail. Nail means खीला. Hammer it repeatedly. Okay, उसको hammer करो. What did you observe, students? Yes, on hammering repeatedly, the wire becomes flat. Flat हो जाता है ना? ठीक है, वो वायर थोड़ा सिलिंड्रिकल शेप में है. ओके, उसको हैमर again and again if you will hammer it, then it is going to become flat. That is, it forms a thin sheet. Metal can be converted into sheets by hammering. This property of metals is called malleability. Understood, student, what is called malleability? So द प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ हैमरिंग मेटल, ठीक है, मेटल को हैमर कर करके उसको शीट बनाना. ओके, शीट में कन्वर्ट करना इज कॉल्ड malleability. Example is gold is the most malleable metal. Okay, easily it can be malleable. Next property is ductility. Students, metals can be stretched and drawn into wires. This property of metals is called ductility. Metals like silver, gold, copper, platinum can be drawn into fine wires. Next is electrical conductivity. Students, the property of metals to allow electricity to flow through them is called electrical conductivity. Students, only metal will be having the property for conducting electricity, okay, conducting current. Non-metals cannot conduct electricity, okay. So only metal have this property of conducting electricity. Electricity flows through metals. All metals are good conductor of electricity to a greater or lesser extent. Next is thermal conductivity. Student, even when a piece of metal is heated at one place, the whole of it becomes hot. It shows that metals allow heat to flow through them. This property is called thermal conductivity. Thermal means heat. Okay. So, as you can see here, the rod is being heated. Okay. So, if the heat will increase, then it is going to travel. Okay. It is going to travel from one place to another. That means it will travel till the hand. So this shows that metals are a good conductor of heat. Next property is luster and characteristic color. Student, metals have a typical shine or luster. Luster means shiny appearance. As you can see, silver, brass, copper, steel, then they are having a shiny appearance. Okay. So this is nothing but the lustrous. Even each metal has a characteristic color from which they can be identified. And the last property is sonority. Student, do an activity. Plug the string of a musical instrument like a tanpura or veena ring, a bell, or hit a steel box. Okay, just hit a steel box with a metal spoon. This easily you can do at a home. What you observe, student? You saw that metal produce a ringing sound. This property is nothing but called sonority of metals. So usually you can see these school bells. Okay, when school bells, that is metal, and inside also there's a metal, when it strike each other, there's a sound is produced. So this property is called sonority. Let's summarize, student. Substances have various properties like hardness, elasticity, brittleness, fluidity, density, solubility, and transparency. Metals form a separate group of substances. Metals are found deep inside the earth crust in the form of minerals. Metals have some common properties like malleability, ductility, electrical conductivity, thermal conductivity, luster, characteristic color, and sonority. So student, I want you all to do a small assignment based on this module. So question number 1, underline the correct word. Answer the following. Which are the different states of substances? State the different properties of substances. Which property of liquid determines how easily it flows? Complete the following flow chart. Always remember, student, during the rainy season or at any other time, do not touch the exposed electric wires or metal parts. Keep all electric lamp or other appliances switched off when not in use. For example, even when the TV is switched off by remote control, do not forget to put off the main switch. It helps to save electricity beside protecting us from any possible danger. Ask your seniors at home to check the electric wiring and fittings in the house periodically. So student, on this note, I would like to complete this chapter. Today we will stop here. In the next upcoming video, I am going to start with another interesting chapter. Till then students, take care, and yes, if you like my video and you want me to make such an educational video, please do like, share and subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you.